evening everybody, and a really happy Sunday to you. It's really great to be back here on a Sunday night at my regular slot 8 o'clock for my Heal and Thrive lives, helping you recover through your divorce, through your relationship breakdown, and obviously I specialise in narcissistic abuse recovery as well. So please come and say hi if you're jumping on board, but I do just want to say, remember, this is my public business page, and I always say this a lot of the time at the start of my lives, because I have a free and private divorce and breakup support group after narcissistic abuse as well, and that is private, so you can post in there and nobody else is going to see. And I'm always really conscious, because I know many of you, as you're going through recovery from narcissistic abuse, you want to keep everything very, very private, and I completely respect all of that. So just please know that this is my public business page, because I know I get a lot of people watching my business page and then they privately message me as well, because obviously you don't want to necessarily put anything public. But if you do want to say hi, please say hi, and obviously I can say hello, and obviously where you're listening in from as well, because it's always really, really nice to see where people are on this Sunday evening. It's been a bit of a chilly day. I've been a football mum pretty much the whole of the weekend, so I've just about thawed out now, and it's been an incredible week for me, I have to say. It really has. I had my Strictly Northampton charity dance competition last Saturday night, hence why I didn't do the Sunday night live last week, and I absolutely love that. Didn't win, didn't expect to win, definitely wasn't the best dancer, but from going zero dance experience of things like ballroom and everything to 8 weeks later being up on stage in front of over 1,000 people was pretty incredible feeling, I have to say. And then on Friday I was actually down in London at Wembley Stadium at the National Businesswomen Awards, where I actually won Best New Business in that category. So there was 10 of us who were finalists, and I actually went and won for my divorce and positive psychology coaching business. So I was really humbled to be amongst some 9 other incredible business owners as well. So I just feel really, really grateful and super humbled to be here, to be able to really put my passion to good use. So some of you may be joining me who don't even know who I am. And obviously I've got my regulars that will listen in to tonight's live, which I think is going to be really, really interesting. Hi, Catherine. Really, really interesting for a lot of you, and maybe something you've never even thought of with narcissistic abuse. Something I never thought of when I came out of my marriage. But I'll just give you a little bit about myself. So I'm Caroline Strawson. I'm one of the UK's only, there must be about 9 or 10 of us now, accredited divorce coaches, and I obviously do positive psychology coaching alongside all of that. That's how I coach. So it's a lot about you dealing with, obviously, understanding what narcissistic personality disorder is. It's moving into practical strategies of how do you deal on a day-to-day basis with a narcissistic ex, and then the positive psychology aspect is how do you live a more happy, thriving and optimal life using lots and lots of proven evidence-based tools. And that's why I love positive psychology, because it's a science, and I'm a bit of a science geek. I have a science degree and I'm doing my master's in positive psychology as well, but it's all evidence-based. It's not just a case of me saying try this, try that. And I'm really excited because next year I'm going to actually be launching my signature system of how to recover from narcissistic abuse. So I'm very, very excited. Hi Jan, I hope you're okay. Good to see you here this evening. I hope your packing is going okay as well. So if any of you aren't in my free and private divorce and breakup support after narcissistic abuse and you want to go in there, hi Lisa, please do comment and I will send you the link. Or if you obviously, again, if you don't want to post publicly, just privately message me and I can send you the link to obviously join the group. We've got nearly 3,000, no, in fact over 3,000 women in there now as well. The reason I keep it women focused just in that group is because I know a lot of women have been through really, really traumatic times. I do coach men as well. I do have male clients, but I keep the group on Facebook predominantly purely for women. So if you're not in that group and you would like to be, it's very, very supportive. I try and keep it really positive as well, because I know, hi Kelly, because I know, you know, if you're continually reading posts that is all really depressing, actually that's going to hinder your recovery and growth as well. So I try and keep it as positive as possible and try and comment on as much as I can to help you for free, because I know obviously not everyone's going to be able to afford one-to-one coaching with me. What I will also say, which I'm really excited about, is that sort of mid-January I am actually going to be launching a group kickstart recovery program for narcissistic narcissistic abuse. It's going to be an 8-week program, but I'm only going to be taking 20 women. So I'm just in the process of collating it all together. So again, if any of you are interested, I've already got 4 people who are interested in it, and I've only got 20 places for that, because it's going to be like a beta testing group for me, because it's an 8-week kickstart group coaching recovery where you'll get 8 trainings each week plus 8 Q&As with me every week, and a private Facebook group as well. So if you want to know more about that, or be the first to hear about it, because I am literally only going to take 20 for that, then again, please pop me a message, because I've got a little list going for that. And I've literally, it's the first time I've publicly mentioned it. I've just mentioned it to a couple of people already as well. So thank you, Lisa. That's lovely. So tonight I'm going to be talking to you about the addiction to the narcissist. Now that almost sounds a bit contradictory in terms, doesn't it? Because I know many of us who are coming out of narcissistic relationships, or those of us who are still in them, on an intelligence level, we know they are toxic. I knew my marriage wasn't right, and when I came out of it, I knew that it hadn't been right. But why is it we still seem to be engaging and arguing? We still seem to be going back. Some people still go back and rekindle that romance, rekindle that relationship as well. What is it about the fact that we struggle so much to actually let go of the narcissist? And I see this time and time again with coaching clients, with people in the group as well. Kelly, I will, once I finish the live, I will send you the link and then you can join the group, okay? So bear with me whilst I'm doing this, but I'll send you the link afterwards. I hear this time and time again, and I see it time and time again, that people come out of the relationship with the narcissist, but they are constantly engaging with them, arguing back and forth, texting, emailing, you know, verbally at the door with children's handovers. And it's continually that vicious circle and this cycle of abuse that is continuing and moving forward. Now, the reason I know this is because I was that person too. You know, I would say for a good 2 years following my divorce, I was constantly engaging with my narcissistic ex. Constantly. I wanted to kind of make sure that he knew I was a good mother, I was this, I was that, and if he said anything, I would come back and I would want to justify it. I'd want him to apologise. I'd want him to acknowledge what he had done. That was never going to happen. And from an intelligence level, I knew that was never going to happen. So what was it? Why did I keep engaging? And I see this time and time again. And I'd love to know if you're still engaging with your ex, even now as well. Yes, Caroline, I know this is a really big one for you, and we are really going to delve deep. And thank you so much for your email, Carol, as well. Reading that, it was like a light bulb to me reading your email, Carol, because what I do with my clients, for those of you listening, is I look at their childhood, their succession of relationships, you know, what brought them to be in a relationship with a narcissist, because it isn't just about the narcissist, it's why are we in a relationship with a narcissist and we think it's acceptable to carry on, be treated like that. And very often it's our own trauma that we have had from childhood, from other relationships that we bring into that relationship, that then obviously we need to go back and heal before we can move on into other relationships and obviously move forward. So Carol, when I read all of that, you know, I've got a plan of action that we're going to do. So please don't worry. I'm looking forward to our coaching session tomorrow night as well. So I'd love to know if anybody else is still engaging and still messaging and still going back and talking to their ex and finding it really difficult to move on. I massively struggled with this, as I said. And I just kept thinking it was the fact that I just wanted to justify the fact that, you know, he was in the wrong. And I wanted to make sure that the whole world knew that actually it wasn't my fault. I hadn't done anything wrong. And so I would then text back or email back, and I wouldn't just ignore it. And I am sure you have friends and family saying to you right now, just ignore it, don't read it. But it's really difficult, right? It's really hard when you feel like you haven't done anything wrong, because you want to react and you want to do that. Now, I coach what we call no contact or modified contact. It can be difficult to go completely no contact, obviously, if you have children. If you don't have children, absolutely no contact. But if you do have children, it's no contact, but in a modified state as well. Because if you're constantly engaging, then you're going to be hindering your healing. And I liken this, if you imagine your ex as a car and you are that petrol station, so you're the petrol tank. And every time you are engaging with your narcissist ex, it's like you are sticking that petrol pump into them like a car, and you are fueling them to keep on going and keep on running and keep on going. So that's why we say no contact or modified contact with all of this. So here we go. Here's Lisa. I have to record kids. Court has changed everything, so I have to for 2 years other than holidays, so struggling going backwards. Okay, Lisa. I'm also involved, and you can go and check my website out for this, CarolineStrawson.com. Look on my website at something called the Parallel Parenting Wizard. I completely understand when you have to converse with your narcissist ex with regards to children, it can be really difficult because you want to be a good mum, you want to be a good dad, and you want to put the children at the centre, obviously, of your divorce. So you still need to maybe have some semblance of communication, but it really, really needs to be controlled, and it really, really needs to be modified. So I'm part of an affiliation with a Parallel Parenting Wizard, and what that means is all communication is via this Parenting Wizard tool. So it's no texting, no emailing, it's all through this. It's all printable, admissible in court. If you've got a coach, say like myself, I can be on there as well, so it can really, really help drive down those emotions in that. And because your narcissist knows this is potentially going to be seen by third parties, because it's a third party tool, then it really, really helps down the negativity right down. You can also get a tone meter on there as well, so it will highlight any abusive messages or anything like that. You can have it set per day, so you only get all the messages at once, so you're not going to be getting this trickle of notifications coming through as well. It's got a calendar in there, it's got swaps in there, it's brilliant, it's really good. I had wanted to do a training on this and a webinar on this as well. Literally not had time at the latter part of this year. My module in my Masters is pretty full on at the moment, which is brilliant though, because it's all about PTSD and post-traumatic growth, which is my area of interest. And also I've been doing Strictly Northampton. So it is on my list of things to do, and I will be doing it. But go and look at my website, just have a read. And then Lisa, if you want to ask any questions about it as well, please do, because it's brilliant. Anyway, I've digressed. You know what I'm like, I always end up digressing. So back to, why are you still addicted to the narcissist? So a lot of this is all about our mental and emotional state of mind, okay? So when we are getting messages or we are engaging, we want to react, you know, particularly if it's anything to do with being a mum or a dad, because our identity a lot of the time when we've come out of a marriage is our identity is on our children. We kind of focus on them. If we don't have children, we can have other things in focus, and we can literally, I'd absolutely advise no contact, you know, get all your finances sorted, and then that's it. And then we can heal and recover and move forward. I know the challenges when you have children and you've still got to keep engaging. And if you've got someone who's digging at you constantly like this, it's very hard for you just to completely ignore it. And I get that, because I've been there where I didn't ignore it and I was going back and back and back. And actually, all I was doing by doing that was slowing down my healing. But it was only when I started to do all my research into narcissistic abuse that I realised it wasn't just the fact that mentally I knew I shouldn't be doing this, because mentally I knew he was never going to apologise. Mentally I knew he wasn't going to validate what he did. Mentally I knew he wasn't going to acknowledge the fact that the way he had behaved, that he was rewriting history, that he was coming up with his own analogy of what had happened. So I knew as an intelligent woman that that's what he was doing. But it was, again, like I couldn't help myself, but I had to respond because I wanted, maybe he would do that. Maybe he'd see his error of his ways. Not that I wanted him back even but at that stage, but just some semblance of an apology. And I was absolutely desperate to do that, so I kept reacting all of the time. And all I was doing in that process was actually slowing down my healing and recovery. But there had to be more than that. And a lot of the research now that I have done, it isn't just the mental aspect that was making me kind of respond. It wasn't just me cognitively and consciously thinking, I'm going to respond because maybe, just maybe, he's going to say sorry. Maybe, just maybe, he's going to acknowledge what he's done. Maybe, just maybe, things might go back to being in peace and in balance, and we can communicate effectively with regards to the children, and there isn't going to be this underlying abuse and bullying continuing all of the time. So I'd keep going and I'd keep going, because I'd been brought up that you don't quit, that you don't give up. And to me, I thought, well, no, I got to keep trying, because maybe he will be able to do that. And on a mental level, an intelligence level, I knew that wasn't going to happen, but I kept doing it. How many of you keep engaging, keep thinking about your narcissistic ex, but you actually know that they are really, really toxic, but you can't help yourself. You can't help yourself. Keep thinking about them, waiting for that message to come through, waiting for that email, checking them on social media. You know, I know lots of people who block their exes on social media, then they set up another account just to go in and keep checking. It's like you've got a scab and you keep it on picking it, and it's just not going to happen. Maybe we'll put the past behind us. Maybe he will put the kids first. No, stick to it. Absolutely, Lisa. And you know what? For you to start your healing, the first thing to recognise is he's never, ever going to do that. Ever. So don't focus on him. Focus on yourself. But it isn't just mentally why you keep reacting, why you're waiting for all of this, okay? And this was a lot of research then that I have done. It's a physiological reaction that you have. It's an addiction. That's why I said, why are you still addicted to the narcissist? Just as you would be addicted to heroin, just as you would be addicted to cocaine or alcohol addiction, addiction to the narcissist is exactly the same. Now, I don't say that lightly in just like, oh, well, you know, you come out of an abusive relationship with a narcissist and you feel addicted to them, okay? There are chemical and scientific reasons why you keep staying addicted to the narcissist, which is why then you need to take real firm steps, and this is what I do in my coaching, to really help you to move forward. So all the cells of our body, okay, so you imagine our body's got all of these cells, and I don't want to be too scientific about it. I'm going to try and make it as easy for people to understand as possible. We have, obviously, you know, with the brain, there's lots of different parts of the brain. And in the brain, we have something called the hypothalamus. And the hypothalamus in the brain emits chemicals which are all to do with our emotions, whether they're good emotions or bad emotions, things like hope or anger or all of these things. And it will emit these chemicals called peptides. Now, what happens is when you are going through narcissistic abuse and coming out of your relationship breakdown, so your divorce afterwards, what's happening is your body is in that fight or flight mode. You know, there's a fly going around, isn't there? Your body is in a fight or flight mode. And that's why we say, you know, it's like walking on eggshells. Well, when your body is like that, you are producing a lot of peptides, these chemicals called peptides, into your body, okay? And they're going to all of the cells. Now, it doesn't matter that it's almost a bad emotion that you are feeling, but because you're in that extreme emotion, your cells are getting really used to this type of peptide, okay? Because of that emotion, the hypothalamus emits these peptides, which then go to all the cells of your body, and your body starts to get used to it. And if you liken it to, say, heroin, okay, which is a really good kind of, you know, analogy, because I think sometimes it can be hard to think, well, hold on, this is like an emotion, this is how I feel, and what, there's a peptide, and that. So if you liken it to, say, heroin, when you are addicted to heroin, the more heroin addiction you have, the more heroin you need to then service your addiction. And it's exactly the same with narcissistic abuse with these peptides. What happens is your body starts to get used to these peptides, and you then have these lows. And it can be like, and again, we know intelligently not to look for the message or not to reply or anything else. But what happens is your body starts to crave these peptides. And I can so relate to this. When I researched all of this, it made so much sense to me, because I remember literally for 2 years thinking to myself, why am I replying? Don't reply. And then after we'd finished maybe having an argument or back and forth, I'd think, I'm not doing that again. I am not doing it. And it would almost be like I was in a bit of a state of calm then once everything had settled. But then what my body was doing then was saying they needed these peptides because I had this addiction because of the narcissistic abuse. So what did I do? I would look at him online. I would research, you know, what was he up to? I was waiting for the next message because it's almost like I needed my next fix of these peptides because of the narcissistic abuse. And a lot of studies have shown that it's actually 10 times more difficult to break this addiction from a narcissist because of these peptide chemicals than actually if you were addicted to heroin as well. So I know when I'm saying to you right now how difficult it can be to break that addiction from the narcissist, because we're not just talking this mental cognitive approach where you know you shouldn't engage with him or her. You know you shouldn't, because you know actually they're toxic, you know it's not going to end well, but you still have this kind of hope. But it's your body crying out, your hypothalamus is saying, no, I need this. So you seek out them. And we need to take responsibility for that, because very often, obviously, we pin it all on our narcissistic ex, that, you know, they're the ones sending us messages and that. But it's our choice how we then respond. And choices in our head, sometimes we know we shouldn't, but we still do, because our body has this physiological reaction to it where we can't help ourselves. We need to react. We need to respond, because when we respond, it's almost like, oh, okay, because then the hypothalamus releases your peptides, go to all of the cells, and you start to feel like it, as if you were getting your fix of heroin or something like that. And it's this vicious cycle. And I don't know whether any of you can relate to that, where you know you shouldn't respond, but you don't help yourself, and you do. You know you shouldn't read what they put, but you do. You know, my family, in fact, I was talking to my sister about it a few days ago, actually, and we were having a really good discussion about, like you do, PTSD and post-traumatic growth. Again, a real area of interest for me in the whole narcissistic abuse field. And we were talking about the time when, absolutely, Jan, and we were talking about the time, obviously, when I was going through mine, and my sister said, I know, we just kept telling you, ignore him, don't respond to him and everything else. And I said, and I knew I shouldn't, but I couldn't help myself. And then you start to think, well, I'm weak, I shouldn't be responding, because I know that it's just going to be toxic, and it's going to be argumentative, and it's going to be this vicious circle. I didn't realise at the time that my body was actually having a physiological response to all of this as well. So it was the peptides that were being released by my brain, by the hypothalamus, into all of the cells of my body as well. And it was feeding my addiction, and then it would settle for a bit, and then it would be like my brain, my hypothalamus was saying again, I need these chemicals again, I need that addiction, because I was so addicted because of all of the abuse that was insidious over those period of years, and then coming out of that relationship. That's what my body needed, because it was used to that. And obviously this is why breaking up from a narcissist is not like breaking up from anybody else. Nobody else. This is why I now specialise in narcissistic abuse recovery, because although I can help people through divorces and bad breakups, absolutely, it is a completely different kettle of fish when you are breaking up from a narcissist. Because when you break up from a normal person, we can really focus on yourself, you know, because you're normally dealing with somebody who shows empathy, who, yeah, you know, there might be a bit of acrimony, but then you can obviously move forward. You can't do that with a narcissist. It doesn't just end when you start a divorce procedure. In fact, it can sometimes get even worse as well. So let's see what Lisa said. I thought I was being strong by responding and showing him he couldn't control or bully me anymore. This makes so much sense. Brilliant, Lisa. And you know what? The more you learn about this, and the more you can understand, and you know, I am really passionate about helping people understand what narcissistic personality disorder is, what narcissists are, you know, their thought processes, their behavior, and then it's not focusing on them. We need to understand them to then focus on yourself, you know, because I don't want to see people years down the line still focusing on their narcissistic ex, because you can't change any of that. So we need to understand our mental, emotional responses, our physiological responses. What can we do on a day-to-day basis of managing and strategizing how we communicate, how we maybe parallel parent with them, but then how do we move forward? And this is exactly where the positive psychology comes in. How do we then go on to live a happy and thriving life? Because I don't want you to stay stuck. I don't want you to stay stuck in this vortex of, you know, this pain and addiction to your abusive ex, because honestly, you will not move forward and you will stay stuck there for years and years and years. So, you know, this is absolutely crucial to you understanding where you are right now as well. So Lisa, it wasn't a case that you've been weak then doing that, and I certainly don't want you to think that because you responded then that's the wrong thing to do. You were having this physiological reaction to that. Your body was telling you to do that. So it's almost like it takes over from your brain, and cognitively you're thinking, you know, you shouldn't, but your body takes over because you need to have those peptides. And if you liken it obviously to like heroin addiction, hopefully you can understand it a little bit better obviously with that. So let me have a little drink of water. Oh dear, so thirsty today as well. So I hope that's kind of made sense a little bit, why maybe you still feel like you're engaging in messaging when you know you shouldn't, you know it's toxic, but you keep doing that. It's because your brain and your cells of your body want to have all of these peptides, because this is an addiction that you have got. And what we need to do is break that addiction, okay? We need to break that. And it can be a real challenge, which is why it isn't easy to recover and heal when you have been narcissistically abused. It can be a challenge for you. The first step is you knowing that you want to break free. You want to not just survive, but you want to thrive as well after narcissistic abuse, because it can be incredibly hard to move forward because you are so staying focused. So that first step is obviously for you to recognize that you don't want to carry on living your life like this. And that can be a challenge in itself, because many people, men and women, when they come out of narcissistic relationships, they're in a psychological state that we call learned helplessness, because it can be over a period of years where you've had this insidious emotional abuse and your brain is in a state where it's the norm to feel how you do. You've forgotten how to feel happy. You've forgotten how to laugh. You've forgotten how to feel peace in your life and feel at balance. You're in that constant fight or flight. You feel like you're walking. Absolutely. Brilliant film, Carol. You probably I saw it yesterday. Yeah, Freddie Mercury. Do you know what? When I came out of that, Carol, from seeing the film with Freddie Mercury, I won't spoil it, obviously, for anybody who's not seen it, but go and see it because it's brilliant. I was absolutely in bits, because I just thought, what a troubled young man, and a very talented man as well, but just didn't live his life to the full as well. And I don't want anything for you guys not living your life to the full, because you're actually putting your healing in somebody else's hands. So, you know, it's really, really important that you recognise that it is going to be tough, but you can do that, can break free from this. You absolutely can not just survive, but you can thrive. I mean, you know, if you knew me 8 years ago, you would not even recognise me. Genuinely, you wouldn't recognise me. So I know not just from a professional level that you can recover, but from a personal level as well, because believe me, I was at rock bottom. You know, I was diagnosed with PTSD, I was suffering with depression, anxiety, self-harm, panic attacks every morning on my bathroom floor, you know, and I was, even when I didn't have any nails, because I often don't, I would use my toothpaste even to scratch the tops of my legs, because that was the only control I felt like I had in my life. So I know what it's like not to feel like you have any control in your life after narcissistic abuse. And a lot of that, it isn't just up here in you recognizing it mentally, it's that physiological feeling as well, and we need to break that habit. And by doing that, there's lots of different ways we can do that, you know, and obviously I won't go into all of them this evening. This is something that I coach people on then, of how do you break that addiction. But tonight I wanted you to understand that it isn't your fault, but you've got to take responsibility for it as well. So you feeling how you do is not your fault, okay? You were the victim of narcissistic abuse. But what is your fault is if you don't then realise the healing is in your hands, okay? And taking that responsibility. Someone said to me the other day about, oh, I need to take responsibility for all of this. And I said, it's not your responsibility that you were in a narcissistically abusive relationship, but what you do is you need to take responsibility for your own healing. So why was it acceptable for you to be in a relationship with a narcissist? Normally for a long time, because a lot of us are empaths as well. So we will stay in a relationship far longer than anybody else would, because we are fixers, we're caretakers, we want to people please all of the time as well, okay? So we will often stay in that relationship longer. So it's really, really important for us to take responsibility and look at our own healing in that scenario. And how I heal and how I coach, and I've obviously creating my signature system for all of this, which I'll be announcing obviously next year. It's all about recognizing and understanding, you know, it's understanding what is a narcissist, you know, all of that, the narcissistic personality disorder, being an empath, you know, then it's looking at the day-to-day. How do you actually, with practical ways, get through the day? How do you do that? And then it's looking to your future as well, because I don't just want to help you bounce back after narcissistic abuse. I want to help you bounce forward. I want you to see that your divorce, and this is why I called my book, Divorce Became My Superpower. It's not because divorce per se was my superpower, but my divorce was my catalyst to not only heal from narcissistic abuse, but to look at all the other aspects of my life as well. back to my childhood. You know, why was I a people pleaser? Why am I a highly sensitive empath? Why did I always not feel good enough? And all of these things from my childhood, and don't get me wrong, my mum and dad were amazing and I feel I had an incredible childhood, but there's things in my childhood that I know happened that led me then to A, attract narcissists, and then be in narcissistic relationships. And then if I wanted to change and heal moving forward, I didn't just have to address myself going through the divorce. I had to look at before all of that to make sure it wasn't going to happen again. So my divorce for me was the catalyst to become my superpower, to then move forward in all aspects of my life as well. So Carol, let's see what you've got to say. Is that why I get this immediate anxiety reaction to the thoughts and images due to the physiology, Caroline? Those feelings are the ones I hate and bring the sobbing. Absolutely. So what you have, Carol, in that scenario is when you sort of in the moment when you're thinking about your narcissist ex, what will happen is two things. So one, you will have this cognitive reaction where obviously you're going to have your voices talking to yourself in your brain about, you know, why is he with her? Why is he doing this? Why isn't he doing all of that? So you have all of those things going on as well. But also you have that physiological reaction because you're addicted to your ex, okay, because of the peptides, because of this, you can't stop yourself from doing that. Yet we will get there and we will break that addiction, Carol. Absolutely we will. But at the moment, understand that you're having this physiological reaction. And what happens is you're in these constant states of ups and downs. So you will have this real low and then it's almost like you're waiting for the argument, or you seek out the argument because you need your rush. You need that addiction of those peptides because that's what you're addicted to. So you'll engage in an argument, maybe you'll go and look at them on social media, you will seek them out because again, the hypothalamus will release those peptides, will go to the cells, and then it's like then you're like having your fix, and then it will happen again. But again, and this is why people sometimes get worse after narcissistic abuse over a period of time, because like I said with heroin, to have your fix of heroin, it's not just the same over the years, you need more to satisfy your needs over a period of time. And it's exactly the same obviously with narcissistic abuse, which is why people, you know, I see people coming out of narcissistic relationships and, you know, they're in a bad way, but over the years they get even worse. Because what they're doing is they're having to feed their habit of this peptide addiction, this addiction to their narcissistic ex as well. So there's a lot of factors going on here, you know, mentally and physiologically as well. And we need to do proper practical strategies to break that habit as well. And it's a challenge, but it absolutely can be done as well, and it will be done. So Kelly, it's good to be living and finding me again and not just getting on with each day. Oh, that's brilliant to hear, Kelly, you know, and it's true. It's, you know, I know how hard it is when you're going through all of this because I've been there. But I want you all to know that, you know, this someday could be the best and biggest learning curve for you, not just about you healing from this, because I know and I see this with my clients, it isn't just about your relationship breakdown that I want to help you heal. That isn't just it. It's before that. You know, what were your other relationships like? What was your childhood like? There absolutely will be triggers in all of that that I can then see as to why you were going through what you were going through in your marriage or your relationship. And what we need to do is address all of that. So we need to address why. Why is it? Did you think it was acceptable to be treated like that? What was it in you? Because there will be something in you from normally your childhood that then led you to do that, okay? And, you know, certainly like with Carol, when I was reading yours, Carol, because I get my clients sometimes to send me sort of bits about their childhood and relationships and stuff. Immediately when I was reading it, I was thinking, this is why. But then what we can do is we understand all of that, and that gives us a starting point and a platform then to heal. So we look at the past, we deal with the present, and then we look to the future. And this is exactly how I coach with all of that as well, because I don't want you to stay stuck in any of those, because a lot of people stay stuck focusing on the narcissist. That's it. Everything is about them all of the time, and your energy is always about them. And that energy needs to be on yourself and on your healing. We do need to know day-to-day strategies on how you cope and how you deal with that. But then we need to look forward. And again, because I use positive psychology, I use a certain model where I look at different aspects of your life, so that, because I know by looking at all of these different aspects of your life, we are going to create an evidence-based way of creating a happier lifestyle for you, better well-being for you. Now that could be different to me and it's bespoke to everybody in that scenario, but again, this is when I'm going to do my Kickstart Recovery Program mid-January. There will be a lot of the modules on this to really get you to explore your past, your present and your future, and really create a plan of action for you moving forward as well. So yeah, Carol, don't worry. So I hope that's helped a little bit understand for you why maybe you still feel like you're addicted. And this could be a year on, 2 years on, maybe you've just broken up. Maybe you're thinking, I want to break up, but this is going to give you some knowledge. And I am passionate that knowledge is power, but only if you use it, okay? It's no good knowing all of this if then you don't act upon it to move forward, to create a plan of action for yourself to move forward. Whether that just be yourself, whether that be come and join my free and private group, or one-to-one coaching with myself, or even my group Kickstart Recovery Program that starts in January as well. So Kelly, I feel like most days I'm just getting through them, but I'm also working on myself to join the gym and taking time out every day to do something nice for me. I am healing, but I'm dreading the day when I find out my wife, ex-narc, is with someone new. I'm worried it'll put my healing back to square one. Do you have any advice for how to prepare for that? Yeah, absolutely. It's always a tough one, that, Kelly, because obviously it's going to bring up a lot of emotions. But if you're working on yourself, okay, so there's two things to think about here, and it goes back to when I said about the coaching. It's the understanding of what a narcissist is. When you understand what a narcissist is, okay, and we look at breaking that cycle from maybe beforehand, maybe your childhood or anything else as well, what you start to realise is you don't want to be with a narcissist. So although you might be physically attracted to them or anything else like that, you understand on a cognitive level that it's a toxic relationship for you to be in, okay? And you understand that. So that's sort of stage one, that you understand that being in a relationship with a narcissist like your ex is toxic. It's not healthy. If we are then building you up, and you're already starting to do that, going to the gym and doing these things as well, the more you can create a life for yourself outside and away from your narcissistic ex. So, you know, what hobbies can you do? And a lot of this is about social interaction. It's about positive emotions. It's about your relationships with other people and working on them. It's about achievement, a whole host of things as well, all in line with positive psychology here. That is going to really, really help raise your well-being, raise your happiness levels there as well. And it's working on all of those. The more whole we can make you, and the more cognitively you understand that being with a narcissist is toxic as well. I am not saying when you see them with somebody else, it's not obviously going to upset you. Of course, you were with them and you had a long-term relationship with them as well. But you can then recognise that there is sadness, but you understand why that actually it would never work anyway if you were with them. And if they are a narcissist as well, if they've not recognised that, Kelly, they will absolutely do the same again. 100%. This is why narcissists, we say it's very hard to get them diagnosed, because they have to recognise there's an issue in the first place, and they don't, because it's everybody else's fault. Okay, so you need to realise and understand what a narcissist is, understand that that is toxic, understand that you deserve more than that, because you deserve to be happy. You're not on this earth to make everybody else better. Okay, the biggest gift you can give yourself is to work on yourself and live a happy and thriving life yourself. So yes, understand, but then don't spend your energy focusing on them. So if you're following her on social media or anything like that, you need to block. Don't look. That's like you're scratching a scab all of the time, okay? Don't. If you're finding your friends or family are telling you what she's up to as well, and this goes to the same for everybody, if you're finding that your friends and family are telling you what your ex is up to, you need to tell them to stop. Just say, look, I'm really sorry, I'm healing at the moment, I don't want to know. Because you don't need to know any of those things, because it's not going to change anything in your life. So you just don't need to know. No, you know, and this is where you need to be really mindful who you're surrounding yourself with as well, because sometimes people like all of that gossip, they like all of that. Don't surround yourself with people like that. Your focus needs to be yourself. And then, Kelly, what I'd say is look at all the things in your life. You know, what do you enjoy doing? Obviously, like I said, join the gym. What else? What hobbies? Connect with other people. The more full and you can create your own life, the less focus and airtime you will give to your ex in that scenario as well. So brilliant, perfect, Kelly. So, you know, everybody's doing the right thing. So this shouldn't be a time thing. What I would say then is you need to focus on yourself. Do some fun stuff. You know, so you've got your physical activity, so you're focusing on your health. Make sure you're eating properly. That's always a biggie. Always talk that a lot with my clients because we tend to not eat properly, and what we feed our body has a massive impact on our brain. Also, you're doing the physical exercise, again, has a massive impact on the brain too. But you know, really look at the other aspects of your life to fill it up, basically, as well. You know, meaningful things too. You know, one of the big things in positive psychology is doing something meaningful with your life, giving back, doing, you know, and that emotion. So, you know, just look at different aspects of what you could do as well. But fill your life up, okay? Forget about her, let her get on with everything now as well. It's not your duty and that. And yes, of course, it will be a little bit of a once you meet somebody, but you know what you're doing is filling yourself up so that when you eventually want to go into a relationship, Kelly, you're going to attract the right people into your life. And that's always a biggie because you need to know your boundaries and that as well. So I hope that's been really helpful tonight with regards peptides, a bit scientific for you, but I hope it kind of, you know, for me, when I researched all of this and read a lot on it, I like all this, the deep science of all of this as well. I've tried to keep it reasonably understandable and everything as well, but I love really understanding, you know, the real science of all of that as well, you know, and the reactions your body, your cells have, your brain, and it just made sense to me as well, that physiological reaction too, because I knew as an intelligent woman not to reply and respond and everything else, but I couldn't stop myself. And it made me feel like, why can't I stop myself? And it's because obviously, you know, I'm feeding this addiction at the time as well of these peptides as well. So remember, it can be broken. It's tough, but it absolutely can. And you need to take those first stages. So if anybody wants to obviously join my free and private divorce and breakup support after narcissistic abuse, if you're not already in there, then pop me a message or comment below and I will obviously send you the link as well. I will be back next Sunday night as well. Now I'm back into my routines and everything as well. But I hope you have a wonderful week. Remember, I'm always at the end of the message. If anybody wants to know any information about any one-to-one coaching, I do free discovery calls. If anybody wants to know, obviously, about my Kickstart group coaching program that's going to start in mid-January. I'm only taking 20 women on for this. I've already got 4 people as well. If you want to be the first to know about it, because I'm still literally just finalising the trainings and exactly what I'm doing with all of that, but it is literally going to be revolving around a signature system that I've been developing to heal and recover from narcissistic abuse as well. So, you know, Kelly, if that's, let me know if that's, if you wanted a discovery call or if you wanted information on the group coaching, just pop me a private message and let me know, and then I can get some details over to you as well. But remember, you know, wherever you are right now, at some stage, because I know, because I have been there, I want you to look back and think, do you know what, I'm glad that happened, because actually it made me stop. It made me stop and evaluate everything in my life, relationships, not just with my narcissistic ex, but with everybody, and the most relationship with myself, because I don't just want you to heal. I don't just want you to survive and recover. I want you to thrive. You deserve to live a happy life. You know, you absolutely do. And I don't want you to be waking up every single day and focusing your energy on somebody else who doesn't deserve it. They don't deserve that. You know, your energy needs to be directed to you as well. So have a fantastic week, and please know I'm always at the end of a message for you. I always try and get back to people as much as I can, and obviously within the group too. And I will be back next Sunday night. Also, if you've got anything in particular that you want me to talk about on a Sunday night as well, put me a message too. I have a whole list of things that I will do in lives. But if there's anything in particular, I'm finding people are messaging me the same things. Because the reason I did this one tonight was because I was finding people really struggling to stop the focus on their ex as well. So yeah, absolutely, Jan, but you are doing an incredible job already. You really are. You should be really proud with how far you've come. You really should. So take care, everybody. Have a brilliant week, and I will catch up with you all very soon. Bye.